Welcome to the Mint City Soccer Show. I am one of your co-hosts, Matt Swift. David Gussler, welcome back, my man. It's been a while since you've been on your own show.
I forgot that I did a podcast there for a little bit. I had to find my microphone, dust it off from the cobwebs, and I had some internet issues here earlier this morning. It was like, nature's way of saying that you should not do this show anymore, David, but it's okay. I figured if Donnie can do this show, then I could do it.
If Donnie and Steven Mueller can do the show, anybody can do the show. Welcome back. Did you have a good Thanksgiving, sir?
Yeah. It went by really quick. It was really busy. We did something different this year. We went camping on Thanksgiving Day, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you actually went camping in my old neck of the woods. You were in right outside of Baden, right?
Oh, that was the second time I went camping. So I've camped 3 times in the past month, man. It's been good. But yeah,
That's a lot of camping.
that was I know. So that was the most recent time. But on Thanksgiving Day, we went to a state park here in South Carolina on Lake Murray and camped on the lake and saw Santa Claus on a go-kart. He was driving around passing out candy canes on Thanksgiving.
That
Don't
sounds
know why.
right.
It's
Yeah.
South Carolina, so it sounds about right?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. So, David, the reason why we're doing the show today is that we have some new news. So, we have signed a new coach. His name is Dean
Did
Smith.
we? Oh,
I think so, yeah. His name is Dean Smith, and I'm already tired of the Tar Heel reference jokes already. But yeah, very exciting stuff. Dean Smith, new coach. For those who don't know, he was former coach at Brentford, Aston Villa, Norwich City, and most recently Leicester City. He already has some ties here. His son, Jamie Smith, plays for the Greenville Triumph. And apparently, Dean already has a vacation home in Myrtle Beach.
No. He has it in Dirty Myrtle is where he has it.
Dirty Myrtle. David, did you go to Myrtle Beach for Senior Beach Week in high school?
Yes.
Same.
Yeah,
I
it
did
was.
too.
Senior week was like the same time as Biker Week, I think, at one point,
Yeah.
and it was insane down there. So 18-year-old, 17-year-old, and 16-year-old David going down there during that time frame was not the wisest decisions ever. So, Dad, if you're watching this, sorry.
Is that when you had frosted tips and your shell necklace?
My hookah shell or my necklace and Hollister polo, my cargo shorts and rainbow sandals. Yeah. Oh yeah. That was peak Myrtle Beach right there.
Yikes. I can't say anything. I wore some stupid shit back in the day, but so anyway, yes, new coach. We've got a lot of fan questions, so I want to start kind of jumping into them. But before we do that, I want to read something from Joe LeBou, team president of Charlotte FC. With this signing, Joe was saying a priority for the club remains progress both on and off the pitch. Dean has a strong track record of winning results, authenticity, connecting with supporters, and ingraining himself in the local community. I take that, and I want to get your thoughts too, because one of the criticisms we had of this last coach was that we didn't think he really connected with the fans. He had a hard time in press conferences, I think, getting across his points. And also, too, we were really frustrated, and I know you were, David, especially with him not taking the opportunities to come over and thank the fans, especially during losses. But what are your thoughts on Joe's comments?
Yeah, I think one thing, I don't know if it was Joe's comments or if it was the article with the press release or something, but they said that one thing that stood out to me was that they said he authentically connects with the fan base and supporters, etc. Yeah. So that stood out to me for one. And I don't know, I put it in Slack, and maybe it's just me, and I made the cheesy joke in there that I'm wearing British colored glasses right now. But instead of rose colored, just in case I have to explain the terrible joke, that maybe I just have rose tinted glasses on right now, but he just seems much more charismatic in his videos. And the fact that I put on here, bums in seats because it was just it was a nice little video that put out there. And so I'm excited for it. I think Joe is like hit the nail on the head where they need to have someone, especially at this moment in time, going into year 3 of the club after not having the success that they wish that they had early on. They need somebody that is going to be good technically and like bring a style of play to the club and stabilize the club from a manager perspective. But they need someone that's actually going to be kind of the face and be a good presence for the club out in the community and for supporters, because the last manager we had, like no ill will towards Christian Latanzio or anything like that, but there was very little times that you saw him out and about and in the community or things like that, right? And maybe it was a language barrier, whatever it was. I know we were critical on some of his press conferences, but it just didn't seem like it clicked for him here as the main guy.
Yeah, and I know it's tough, especially, you know, midway through the season. A lot of people were being very critical of him, so I can maybe see him not wanting to go out quite as much. But I would have liked to have seen more of him interacting with the team, more on social media with our comms team, right? Not just on social media doing stuff.
Well,
but I think he was more private kind of guy. So I'm liking this new shift.
Well, I think you already see that, especially today.
Yeah.
The fact that he signed a contract that said Sir Minty's allowed to be meeting weekly with him about recruiting and tactics, and guarantee one TikTok video weekly with the comms team, and you know that we're going to sign or give like have a giveaway for this fake contract sign. Like you didn't see that with Christian Latanzio. I don't know if that's the comms team or the social team, if it's a mix of both, but that's already for me seeing the fun that we did not have last year or even the second half of the first year. We didn't have that fun. We didn't have that vibe of, hey, you can be fun at the same time of being serious. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I like that they did that because everybody, all of our fans love to be sleuths, right? So they're going to, you know, enhance every photo. And so they're definitely looking at the contract that the coach is signing just to see if there's any details that they can tease out. But I love that the comms team put in some little jokes in there because sure enough, people were enhancing and looking at it. So I love that they were having some fun with it. And I like that he was, you know, kind of part of that little joke and getting to meet Minty and try to figure out what that's going to be like and everything. So
his reaction was very like, who's Sir Minty? And they're like, he's our mascot. He's like, oh,
yeah. I mean, in all fairness, when you see Minty for the first time, you're like, what the hell is this thing? So I can only imagine, like, what this is our mascot. So,
right. A big soccer ball with a crown and a Flavor Flav chain with the letter M on it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah. But yeah, I want to leave a lot of this episode for fan questions because I think that would allow us to give our thoughts a little more about what we think about this coach. I know you have some thoughts. I certainly do. So let's start with some questions. And guys, like while you're watching the show, interact with us. Leave some comments for us and ask questions. Anything that you want us to chat about. So we're going to talk about the coach, of course, but anything else this offseason that you would like for us to cover. We could talk about corn dogs, and I'm pretty sure we are going to talk about corn dogs. And if you're new to the show and you're like, what the hell are you talking about corn dogs? Maybe we'll catch you up a little bit. So let's start with some questions. Dave, do you want to read some of these off and
I'll bounce back and forth a little bit from the show, the live questions. We already have a good bit coming through, but I'm going to start with some of the ones that were presented to us earlier in the day. So thanks for those who posted on social media and Slack, etc. So the first question comes from Ryan Allen, Mr. Robot Statistics himself in Slack. So his question is, you get to plan out one day to spend with Dean Smith to show off the city of Charlotte as an introduction. Where are you taking him for 3 meals? And what are you doing to proudly display the Queen City? So Swift, well, and also I just see the comment on there. At least I can pronounce Dean Smith's name, by the way. Thank God that it's very simple for me. So, so thanks, Clay. Swift, where are you going to take him for your 3 meals to introduce him to Charlotte proper?
I mean, I think you've got to take him to Bojangles, right? That's one. Even though you hate Bojangles, Gusler. Two, because has started to be an ongoing joke. I mean, it's got to be Cookout now, right?
Yeah.
You got to get,
Uh-huh.
and then you got to take him somewhere good. I would probably take him to Haberdish. I think I've mentioned that before. Take him to Haberdish.
You took mine there, so I have to pivot a little bit. So Bojangles and Cookout, just so he can smash a chicken biscuit and just really get really nice and proper. Maybe get him an eggnog milkshake since they're in season right now at Cookout.
Let's make him gain 50 pounds and raise his blood pressure. Yeah, for sure.
The true American way here. So the other one I would say, since you said Haberdish earlier, I want to take him to somewhere just like a hole in the wall and just somewhere just completely just out of the blue. But I would say Jack Beagle's there at Noda, just so he can get like a dirty mac and cheese or something like that, where it's like pulled pork on top of mac and cheese and barbecue sauce. And meanwhile, there's a band playing in the background, and he's like, where the hell am I right now? So be a good one there. So, but I would definitely take him to Haberdish. That's a good, proper choice. So, this one comes from Paul. So Mr. Drummer extraordinaire himself for Mint City Collective. So Paul says, we know coaches are brought in part to play a system the club wants to play. But what is Smith going to be looking for in his new squad? So what's going to impress him specifically from our players, you think, Swift? So I know it's day zero right now in his reign as manager, but what do you think he wants to do and the type of players he would like to have here, just from your experience and knowledge of him?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to have to assess what he has, right? And he's going to have to look at some players that maybe didn't get some playing time. And I'm sure there's going to be some shifts there. But he's going to be more, maybe more attacking. I think a little more direct. So I think he's going to try to assess like what our midfield is going to look like. I think he's really going to see what we have out on the wings, which is exciting. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he could do. I'm sure he's very well aware of the roster that we have. You're not going to go into a job or into an interview and not know what you're dealing with before you go in. So we'll see how this all shakes out. There's a couple of players that I'm very interested to see what happens to. One is Kerwin Vargas, who apparently can't quit scoring. Scored again tonight for the Columbia U23s. I'm really interested to see what happens with him. I really want to see Bill Tuiloma, what his future is going to be like. And what that, and another person, Scott Arfield, comes to mind too. What's his role going to be? Is he going to get more minutes? And then Patrick Agame is another player too that I'm interested to see what Dean's going to do with.
Yeah, and take this for grain of salt, just because it's the internet. But looking at like Transfer Market and FootMob, et cetera, it says that his preferred tactics, which I guess is the ones that he runs the most, is typically like a 4-2-3-1. So if you think about it, that's kind of what we were attempting to run anyways, for the most part. So it already seems like we'll have some of the players ready to transition that role. I'd be interested. For me, depending on, I guess, this offseason, this transfer window, I'm interested to see how he adjusts and actually if he could figure out a way to get our 3 DPs to be on the field at the same time. If we still have 3 DPs at that point, who they are, et cetera. It's a whole different conversation.
I mean, we'll have 3, but I don't know if it's going to be the 3 that we have now.
Yeah. So we'll see what that looks like, right? So, and then just piggybacking off of this one, because this is a live question here from Michael, aka Coffee Gang instead of Tea Gang. So Michael says, as someone who doesn't know much about him, what should we expect about his coaching style? So anything that you've read online, I know they kind of put a get to know him out article earlier from the club. But what should fans expect to get to know, what should fans expect to know about him before he even hits the pitch for us?
Well, I mean, you can look to see who he's coached and who he's brought in. I think he's really good with young talent. Again, that's why I'm kind of looking at Kerwin and Patrick, and maybe even a Brandon Cambridge who had flashes and then all of a sudden wasn't in the team anymore. And that could even be people like Ben Bender. Can he get the most out of him? Like what's his future going to be like here at the club? So I think that's going to be interesting. I think, again, we're going to see more, I guess, like possession with purpose instead of just, I always like to say we dick around with the ball in the back too much. So I think you're going to see more purpose. And I think you're going to see more movement from this team too. So I'm looking forward to that.
So another live question / comment on here. And this one comes from Thomas. So I know there's been a lot of comments about, foreign coaches coming into MLS, not understanding or underestimating MLS. Even players have been on record. Like even one of our fan favorites, Sergio, even said like, hey, I didn't expect the physicality of MLS, right? But Thomas says on here, I'm cautiously optimistic, but someone called out the similarity to Owen Coyle's move from Bolton to Dynamo in the 2010s, and that was a complete disaster. So hopefully Dean Smith is a better fit in MLS. So for fans who may have that sentiment or fans who may have that reservation, why should they be concerned or why should they not be concerned, Swift, you think?
It's a valid concern. And we've even on the show talked about we need more MLS experience, but I think Dean's familiar with this league and he's also familiar with the US. Like like he has a vacation home here. I think his son, if I read correctly, like lived in Nashville and like played club ball there. And like now he's in Greenville. So this is not necessarily new to him. Or he's just moving over and has to get used to how things work here. So I think he already has a leg up there. And again, it's not just about the coach, it's about who the players are too. And I think the front office will have learned some lessons. And Sergio is a perfect example. I think when they first brought him in, they thought he was going to be this type of player because he was in another league. But when you come here, that really didn't match up. And then you had to move him into a different position. So I think there's going to be some lessons learned. I don't really have any problems with him. And I mean, any coach can fail no matter where they're from. And then, I mean, you look at coaches that only have MLS experience or have been in this league forever and they move to teams and they don't do well either. So I think it's just a combination of getting the right culture fit, getting the right coach that will run the tactics that the front office is wanting, but also to the front office learning and the scouting team learning these past 2 seasons about the type of profile player that we need.
Well, and I think, and I even shared this in Slack, that one of the things, and it's still a valid concern, but I think Alexi Alanis put on Twitter, like he was, I'm cautiously optimistic, but, be interested to see if he translates to MLS and blah, blah, blah. But in the back of my head, I was like, we just had an assistant coach who did nothing but MLS and it didn't work out. So
Alexi's comment was a non-answer. It's like hedging your bets. Like, I don't know. I think you'll see. Like, okay, great. Like, so he didn't really answer the question, but
I meant because he probably didn't know anything about it. That's okay. That's a whole nother conversation. Yeah. So, but no, good comments and good conversation. And Thomas even had a follow-up kind of comment here. And this is something that we saw with Miguel, but Thomas said, I actually thought Miguel was good with the fans during his brief stint, just bad behind the scenes, apparently, which I know we talked about like almost feels like forever ago, a year and a half ago. The importance of getting fans bought in and having that PR a little bit is super helpful, but you also got to be able to do it at the club itself. So hopefully Dean approaches it differently, right?
I don't want to go down this rabbit hole and I don't want to talk ill of someone, but I think there was a reason why people were saying authentic fan interactions. I'll just leave it there.
Correct.
I don't want to talk about Miguel anymore. So I think there was a reason why authentic was thrown in there.
Let me read between the tea leaves, if you will, sir. The Westwood tea leaves. So there you go. So this question, I'm going to jump back to some of the pre-done questions here. So, and this one was interesting just to see. This one's from David Kelly. So, does Smith's hire change Carroll's mentality about staying in Charlotte? So, what roster moves do you think Smith does in preparation for preseason? Obviously we have the Coachella Invitational that they're going to do in California. What do you think preparation he does for preseason within the next month or two?
I think the Swiderski boat has already set sail. I think he kind of made up his mind that he wants to be in Europe and playing there. My hope that Carroll stays here, but I think that ship has done sailed. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe a deal can get done. Maybe something falls through and he has to stay another half a season at least or something. But I mean, this doesn't hurt. I don't think it hurts at all. I think it helps if anything. But I think we may be past that. Swiderski has made it very, very clear that he wants to leave. So.
Yeah, I unfortunately agree. It's gonna suck when we lose him eventually, but it is what it is. So, so this next one comes from Matt Chantry, aka Westwood T Gang himself. So, what in Dean Smith's coaching history excites you the most, and what worries you the most? And it can be a particular team, a time that he managed, or a player or experience that he was. Anything that stand out to you there, Swift?
I guess what worries me the most is his time at clubs is not very long, especially with what's been going on at this club. However, it's kind of the norm for clubs in England for managers not to have longevity, especially nowadays, and especially for clubs that are like mid-table or always in that relegation battle. And they're always going up and down, like some of the teams that Dean has coached. So it worries me a little bit, but at the same time, again, I kind of take that with a grain of salt. What excites me is that with those teams, Dean is always outgunned, outspent. He's not coaching Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City. He's taking the reins of middle to bottom tier teams and doing the best with them and getting the most out of those players. So that excites me because I think we need a coach again that can assess these players and get the most out of them, and then let the front office go out and bolster the lineup. I'm sure Dean will have his thoughts, and maybe he can pull some players from overseas that maybe you haven't really thought about coming to MLS or Charlotte. That will help.
Yeah, one of the things that stood out to me, and it's not like statistics or it's not performance, whatever it is, but if you look on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram with the announcement of this hire for Dean Smith, it is nothing but Villa fans that are praising and like being positive for him, saying congratulations, you guys have a great one. He was in New York, I think, Friday before the announcement, and was doing an event, and they had Villa fans there coming to meet him and take pictures and ask questions and hang out with him. There's not many coaches after you leave a club, especially what I think the last time he was there was 2020, give or take, or 2021. At 3 or 4 years later, that are like, yeah, let's go hang out with him and meet him and like thank him and say nice things about him. Like if you go back to, I mean, just look at Panthers, like how many people said anything positive about Matt Rule or right, Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera now is rose-colored glasses, right? But at the time, people weren't going to be like, oh yeah, maybe he's a nice guy, but like they're, good luck, Washington, etc. But it's been extremely positive online with the reaction for his previous supporters that he signed with Charlotte.
I think they appreciate what he did for their club, bringing them up to promotion and again, getting the best out of those players where, he's playing against other teams that have bigger budgets, bigger name players. But also taking a player like Jack Grealish and getting the best out of him, making him a captain. And then, of course he moves on, and that's going to hurt your squad because, your star player is leaving. So, but I'm very optimistic about what he can do here and pretty pumped about it.
Well, and I think if you look online too, a lot of the fans from Villa were even saying like the spine that they have currently, or even the success that they're having currently, is because of him. Like that he was able to kind of coach, build up, talk up the guys up to this point, right? Obviously, it's been a few years removed, but I think that's a positive move that we don't want to underestimate that we actually have someone that's well liked from his former clubs versus the other part. His time at Leicester City, I don't think was very memorable. Correct?
I mean, he only he had like 8. I mean, Brendan Rodgers, who's supposed to be a good coach. I don't want to say he ran Leicester to the ground. I don't think they had the personnel to really do well there. But by the time Dean got there, I think he coached like 8 games or something. It's very small. So, and they were going down. Like, it is what it is. So
yeah, I mean, just reading this, he was appointed manager for Leicester on April 10th, and then at the end of the season, second bottom of the Premier League, 8 games left to play, and then that was it. He left in June. So I mean, it's not like he was really given a fair shake there at that time. So I'm okay with that. It is what it is. So, but I think it's a good question and a good kind of thought process of what's going to happen here a little bit. So good question there, Chantry. I appreciate it. So this next question comes from Stuart Jones. So what does quote unquote success look like in the Smith era to you, Swift? So what's the criteria that we'll use to judge him, and when will we do so? Because I know that's a very very loaded question. So I'll let you go first.
Yeah, that's a good question, Stuart. Appreciate it. Success for me is making the playoffs, and we're not counting playing game, right? We're talking, for me, 4th, 5th, maybe 6th, but I'm looking for firmly in the playoffs, not losing games, not drawing games at the end. There's some other things I want to talk about. Training, by the way, I've heard some things. Our last coach overtraining guys the day before the game, and that might have led to some tired legs. I mean, and it makes sense if you think about it. So, I mean, we're giving up late goals and at the end of games and stuff like that. But anyway, so for me, success would be 4th, 5th this coming year, and then you just keep building. When do we start judging him? Unfortunately, with the way Charlotte is right now, I think it's going to be immediately. Unfortunately, I'm hoping people will be patient, but I think people in Charlotte have run out of patience with this owner. So we need to be good quickly.
I agree with everything you just said. Like, 4th, 5th, or 6th is what I would define as success. I would say immediately, unfortunately, would be where the expectation is. And I think, while Smith is new here, I think he is going to have 2 years worth of baggage tied onto him because of Zoran and the rest of the FO. So, it is what it is, but it's also fair. It's life in sports. So, but that's where I think we'll be judging him from that perspective. So, so good question there, Stuart. So I'm going to jump back to some of the live questions that we've got going on here. So let me see here. So, this one comes from the Westwood T Gang himself. So, predictions on how many Dean Smith quote unquote influenced signings we make. Doesn't necessarily have to be the players from his former teams in England, but I know we just announced today that Tom Bogert shared that Mackenzie Gaines is on his way out. He's going to be traded to Nashville SC. I think we're all expecting to see some kind of turnover, especially with Derek Jones' options been declined. Harrison Awful will not be coming back as a quote unquote player coach. He may come back as a scout, etc., but not as a player. You've had some other changes. So what do you think influence Dean Smith's going to have? And then obviously we're right around the corner to the super draft. So what do you think?
Yeah. Well, I think those conversations will be had now. Luckily, we have him in, midway through December. There's some key dates coming up, like you mentioned the super draft and everything like that too. But I think more importantly is these bigger signings, these decisions on DPs. And again, I think Dean and his coaching staff are going to have to assess these, what he has, and then maybe look at gaps that he needs filled and start having those conversations with Zoran. But again, I think Dean's experience and influence will pay dividends, and I think he'll be able to pull in some players that he's coached before, and players that would like to come play for him. So I'm looking forward to that. I think he should have a positive influence for sure.
So I just have to highlight this one here. Sorry, I'm going to take over the producer role for just a second here, Corey. But our friend Jose even said, as a Philly fan in person, he even forgot the super draft existed. So
look who it is. Look who it is.
He also posted on here, so happy for you guys, someone capable. So that's exciting news that we have fans from outside of Charlotte actually recognizing this move, which I think is pretty good. So
thanks for joining again, man. We always appreciate your support and take an interest in our club, and we like that outside perspective too, because we get in our little bubble, so it's always good to hear someone else that's not down here.
Exactly. So this one comes from I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce this name, but Brown Sugar Me Please is the name.
You don't know how to pronounce it.
I'm just making sure it's not the. I mean, I don't know. They're doing it to throw me off for a second. So, what will happen with Bronico? They don't seem to be a fan of Bronico. So, what do you think happens to Bronico with Dean Smith coming in as the manager?
It's a good question, and we've had two coaches now that one way or another really liked Bronico and thought he was the better option out there. So, and again, with the type of formation that Dean likes to run, you could have a double pivot. You could have two people, playing that kind of center defensive mid role. So I don't know, or do we go out and get an upgrade or something like that? So he's one of the people that, Bronico has benefited from the past two coaches, and, almost played every single minute the past two seasons, right? I mean, definitely probably the most minutes of anybody the past two seasons. So it's going to be really interesting to see what Dean decides there.
Yeah, it's and his experience playing center back as a player and understanding that CDM or center back role will be interesting to see what that. I mean, you mentioned earlier, Bill, what's going to happen with Bill, Guzman Corujo, Andrew Privet, like what's going to happen to our starting center backs is going to be super interesting this offseason.
Yeah, because I don't think Dean's going to do the same thing that Lattanzio did. So
you mean start a center back or center defensive mid at left back? We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
No.
We'll see.
No, I'm just kidding. So, awesome. So I'm gonna jump back to some of the pre-existing questions here a little bit. So this one's not so much about Dean Smith, but more about MLS this offseason. So this one comes from Eric Hill. So how do you feel about the word coming out that there would not be added DP roster spots for the immediate future? I know we were texting behind the scenes about this, Swift, but after all the buildup of the deals with Miami this past year, it may be underwhelming. So I'll let you go first, Swift, before I give my.
Yeah, you definitely have some thoughts about this. So, we were talking about with Messi coming into the league, it's going to shake up some things, and we thought that maybe they would include a fourth DP. And then, kind of looking at it further and reading some of the roster rules and what is the MLSPA Players Association, adding a fourth DP might actually not be beneficial to the rest of the players, because if they add another DP, that just means that's a one less roster spot for everybody else. But something has to change. I think they've got to get more money pumped into this thing. They got to pay players more. So now that the season has ended, I think now we'll start seeing some new roster changes. If nothing happens, if nothing changes, that's when I'm going to get pretty pissed off. Because I look at teams like LAFC, I look at Miami, who has already gotten in trouble for roster rules, mind you, has had to pay penalties, offload players because they didn't follow the rules. Now it seems like they get to do whatever they want. So, Michael's saying, how in the heck does Miami have all these players? Exactly. So I think we'll have to see what comes out of all of this. Yeah,
I'm going to be a pessimistic here and say, I mean, I get it. Vaughn taught me off the ledge a little bit around the DP thing. I understand now with the Players Association, they're going to be looking out for the well-being of every single player in the league, right? They're going to be looking at it as a collective whole. And like you said, if they bring in a fourth DP, all that means is that one player is going to get paid a lot more money than the rest of the other 20 other players, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're looking out for that collective, and the majority of the collective is those 20 other players. So they're obviously not going to negotiate with what that is in that CBA. Now, come when that CBA needs to be renegotiated again, which I think is 2027, it could change then, but it really depends. I think what came out of the rules is that they can potentially increase TAM and GAM spending amounts without having to redo the CBA, which in theory could help some of these other MLS lifer players or fringe roster players, because it means they get paid more money potentially. But for me, I will be severely disappointed if it comes out and it's like, I kind of made the joke on Twitter, like we have a generational Adidas player contract part 2 electric boogaloo that they now get like, Cracker Jacks and popcorn with their new signing. You know what I mean? Like get rid of all this stupid shit of rules. Just let the owner spend more money, or let the league, quote unquote, spend more money and be able to elevate the talent that we have. I don't even saying to get rid of the MLS players or the domestic players we have. Just pay them more. Like, we've got players that are like Andrew Privet that's getting paid like $70,000 a year to be a starting center back for us for half a year. And okay, so pay him more. And that's all I'm asking for. So now the Miami conversation is, I think we all know what that is. That's just golden child, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it like I said, I'm interested to see what comes of all this. Definitely players need to be paid more. But I think the reason why all these weird rules are in place, again, goes back to the longevity of the league and teams. We're kind of a mid-market, right? So, like, the Miamis, the LAs, they're going to be fine because they can pull talent, and those types of teams usually have more money, so they can spend more money. But like Salt Lake, they're kind of a smaller market. How do they compete? How do they stay financially sound going forward? And some people could say, well, if they don't, they don't, and then they have to go by the wayside and someone else fills their spot. That wasn't the case in MLS. We're trying to sustain the league, and we've talked about this before. I mean, not too long ago, this league was in jeopardy of folding yet again. So I think all those rules, and then even like this Apple deal, and the reason why Adidas is the main sponsor is just to keep this league going, so we can make changes down the road.
So I have to pull this up because we what we need to do? We need to have an episode of Soccer and Coffee or Soccer and Bourbon with Jose and Vaughn, and just have them talk about CBA for an hour, because he even says here CBA is a lot, allows for a lot. We could talk about this for an hour alone. So
we
need to have
it's the off season. We should just do an episode.
We should have both in mind. Be great. So So this next question came from Jonathan Dunn from the live show here. So, do you think the club will still focus on scouting with MLS, South American, and more Eastern European talent, or will we pivot to more English leagues, since Dean Smith is more familiar with that despite the inflated transfer fees from that part of the world? What do you think, Swift?
I'm hoping we really rethink like MLS experience and talent. I think that's important. I think the scouting team is going to go where they feel the best value is, and there's not a ton of competition, and they can get those diamonds in the rough. But yeah, I mean, I think there'll definitely be some type of influence, like we said before, with Dean and his pool, and it will be easier. And it won't be as hard of a sell, I guess I should say. But yeah, I mean, I still think we need to look at South America a little more, Brazil, and make sure we're getting those types of players into.
Yeah, and I think, we did sign some players from Champion, right? If you think about it, we signed Nathan Byrne, we signed Camille Uzviak. Yeah, I was gonna say thank you. I was about to say Carol, but Uzviak. So we've had some signings from there. I think what will also help a little bit is not so much us being overspent from that league, but Dean may be able to come back and counteract and be like, hey, I played against or coached this guy or potentially coach this guy. He's worth it or not worth it versus us just using scouts knowledge from it. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I do think we need to continue to lean in on MLS experience and South American experience. Look at the way Vargas has come in. I mean, that was a player that no one in Charlotte knew who he was a year and a half ago.
Yep.
And now he's an up and coming player for us, right? That's the type of player we need in those U22 designated player spots, not the Mellows of the world that are just sitting there and disappears. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, Melo's been disappointing, but he's also been hurt a lot. So, I mean, and you're not always going to hit on those. So it's unfortunate. When Melo did play, you kind of saw why they scouted him and were really big on him. But if you're not healthy, you can't really do anything.
Yeah, it's hard. But I think the fact that he wasn't even in the team picture at the end of the year, I think says everything, that relationship between the two.
Yeah,
but it is what it is. So, I'll do one more from the live show, and then I'll jump back to the pre-existing one. So. I'm not going to do the corn dog one. I'm going to save that to the end here. So, we talked about MLS roster rules. So Elliot Fox here says, with the arrival of Mr. Dean Smitty himself, are we reaching when we say Ben Bender is the next Erling Haaland? So confirmed? Question mark. So what do you think there, Swift?
First, let's just admire Elliot's photo here and how great that is. What is this off to the side thing? Like it
is a fantastic photo, and the fact that he has that as his YouTube account, that's amazing.
Is that like a work photo, or like did he do a photo shoot? Like this looks like he was doing some modeling.
That's the before the Panther season Elliot, and now you're going to see an after Panther season Elliot.
He looks like he auditioned for Jim in The Office there.
He does.
And that was his headshot to interview.
The episode where identity theft is not a joke, Jim, and it was like a different guy. That would be what Elliot's doing right there. He auditioned for that part to come in and steal, Jim's identity. So, but no, let's talk about Haaland though.
Yeah, I guess we should answer his question, right? Are we reaching? Yes, you are reaching, but we did mention Bender, and again, he's going to be one of those players in the middle. Like, where does Dean see him playing? Does he see him playing? Is Bender someone that we move on from? Ben was injured at the kind of the end of the season, so I hope he's rehabbing well. I haven't really heard much about that, honestly, but I hope he's okay. If anybody has any info, drop it down below or messages or something. But yeah, that's a stretch. But
so I don't know if this is confirmed or not. So I'm going to be reckless with this speculation here. But hey, I broke the news about Mr. Who was it that was sold their bed? I'm sorry, Justin Meram sold his bed on Facebook on one of the episodes. So. I've got some backdoor.
It hasn't been confirmed yet, though, right?
It hasn't. But who sells their bed and all their furniture on Facebook Marketplace and expects to stay in the same city?
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Either way. But so apparently Ben Bender has a cooking channel on Instagram now, or a cooking account. So he's not on social media, but I'm pretty sure there's a Ben Bender Cooks account on Instagram or something like that. So it could be just me getting fooled by the internet, and it could be someone like Westwood T Gang and Dean Smith Gang or something like that. But I saw that come across my feed.
Do you remember the video that they did? It was him versus Ben Bender versus somebody in a
George
cook-off
or something like that.
Maybe. And Lloyd Sam goes, Ben Blender. Like that has to be Ben's thing, Ben Blender. That has to be a thing.
So his next goal celebration should not be him kicking a corner post. It should just him putting his hands out like a blender and just spinning around like a blender would be. That's his goal celebration. Corey in the background right now is just shaking his head in disapproval for me just making a terrible joke, but that's okay.
Somebody send me Ben's cooking account.
Someone do that on the show, or link it in the chat here for us so we can try to confirm this. Do some internet sleuthing, Westwood T Gang. It'll be great. So yeah, I'll go back to the questions here. So this just came through. This one came from the Brown Shug Game Please. So
Say it again.
No, I don't want to. So it's a mouthful. Piggybacking off of Jonathan's question, what should be our primary focus for quote unquote rebuilding this squad for the 2024 campaign? Is it in the attack? Is it more defensively? Is it the midfield? What should we be focusing in on? And what do you think Dean Smith wants us to focus on?
Possession with purpose, right? Also to playing players in the right position, not rotating as much. I think that's what we should focus on, getting the most out of the folks that we have. I honestly think last season we should have finished 5th or 6th with the squad that we have. With the squad we have, I don't think we're winning MLS Cup. I don't think we're even necessarily hosting a playoff game. But like I think we're good enough to get firmly into the playoffs and not just a playing game. But we were giving up leads at the end of the games. And again, I think from what I've been hearing, some of the overtraining the day before, running people into the ground, and then you play, and then the second half at the end of the game, your folks are tired. So that's what I've been hearing. Take that for what you want, but it makes sense to me. And I've heard multiple people say that. So yeah, I think just getting back to basics, playing straight up, playing people in the right position, letting the people that you've signed go out and make plays for you. That simple.
So I'm going to go back to the pre-existing questions we got coming in here. So again, another one from Paul. So say for the sake of argument that we don't win the cup next year, which, we're going to go ahead and win it all. So I'll just put that on the record. So I know, right? How dare you, Paul? What does Smith have to produce to stay here longer than a season, even with a poor season? And how bad would it have to be for him to get the boot for next year? So first of all, I just want to say, Paul, that's my job to be pessimistic and not be, optimistic here. So how dare you ask that question? But no, go over to you, Swift.
I think it's a style of play too, because I think for me, if Lattanzio would have played a different style and maybe kept it simple and didn't play people out of position, and maybe we're just getting unlucky and losing games and not giving up leads and end up losing or tying, I could have taken that a little better. But just the style of play that we were playing, I absolutely hated. So I think, but again, I think people are not going to be patient this season. So he's going to be judged pretty quickly. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But I mean, for me, I would be disappointed if we don't make the playoffs. And again, and I've said this before, if we don't get the coach right this time, then, Zoran's in the hot seat for me. And you got to start looking there, just like on the Panther side. I mean, like for me, I've been a Panther fan for a long time, and I'm looking at that general manager going, there might be your problem right there. So I know we have an owner that people think meddles too much and everything like that. But I don't know. I think people are gonna get very impatient if we start losing, and it's kind of the same old. And I think eyes are gonna turn towards Zoran and of course Tepper. So we'll see.
So I'm going to answer or ask a few more questions here before we get into the silly questions, Swift. So that includes the corn dog ones and some of the other silly questions we got. So this one comes from Kevin. So so he says, I know we're all interested in how he will impact things on the pitch, but I don't think it's chance that the word togetherness was used in the coach's initial video message to the fans. So why do you think that message was put in there, and why do you think that's important to Dean Smith?
First of all, I couldn't even hear the question because I'm looking at Kevin. Kevin's a good friend of mine. I'm looking at his photo, and I'm just trying to figure out this goatee situation. And I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever seen Kevin with a goatee. So I'm trying to figure out when this photo was taken. And I'm going to need some answers. And those shades, is that like a 2000? Kevin, when was this photo taken? Kevin is a handsome man too. So this cracks me up. I don't know when he had this goatee. Anyway, let me read the question. Yeah. See, that's what he looks like. See, he's got a full beard. He looks like he might be at 99. That's about right.
So for those who are not watching this live and watching this back or listening to this back, the response was eons ago, and then the second response was that photo was from 1997. So if you're listening to this live while driving, pause, pull over, and go find this at the 53-minute mark, and you'll be able to see the picture.
Okay, so what was the question again?
So no, you're good. You're good. So I know we're all interested in how he will impact things in the pitch, but I don't think it's chance that the word quote togetherness was used in the coach's initial video messages to the fans. Yeah. So why do you think that is?
I think I think the relationship was kind of toxic, right? We were all super critical. We talked about it before. I think some of those press conferences really rubbed people the wrong way. There were people very early on in the season that did not like Lattanzio, right? The Lattanzio out stuff was going strong fairly early. And again, I don't think Lattanzio really connected with most fans. I know some really liked him. I know some have been upset that he left. But I think overall, the majority of people just didn't connect with him. I think there was I think the language barrier had something to do with that, but I think there's no coincidence that some of that verbiage has been used, and just trying to rebuild some camaraderie and trust and hope, right? And this kind of togetherness, and like not rebuilding, but just like, I don't know, rethinking how we're doing things here. And refocus, I guess.
Sorry, I was distracted trying to find the Ben Blender cooking account. I can't find it now.
So Ben Blender.
I'm gonna find this Ben Blender.
How is it not Ben Blender? Come on, man.
He should hire you for his social media account.
No, so, that, I mean, it's all Lloyd's. I was cackling when he said that. It was so funny.
So, got a second question here from your friend Kevin in the 1997 Oakley's goatee photo. So he says, after the roller coaster 2 seasons we've had, I love that sentiment and hope that signals an interest in establishing a better connection and engaging more with the supporters. So that was just a follow-up from his question earlier. So why do you think it's important for a manager to connect with the supporters? So we saw it last year, frankly, the negativity, the visceral attitude between some supporters and the manager. Saw it at the Open Cup match, which was feels like eons ago, where people are having Lattanzio out shirts made. Why is that so eons ago again? Why is it so important for a manager to really get buy-in from the supporters there, Swift, for those who aren't aware in that culture?
I remember seeing a lot of comments about Zoran, and then Zoran came on the show. And then I saw some comments saying, "Oh, after I heard him talk, you can see someone's and hear someone's passion." So I think if a coach or anybody in the front office can connect with the fans, they know what they're about. And that was one of the things that, because I've defended the front office quite a bit, because I talked to them early. Like, I know what they're about. I know how much they care. So, but with Lattanzio, I think I had a conversation with him once. That was it. And like everybody else I talked to and everything like that. But like, I think it's important for this coach to get off on the right foot, interact with the fans, listen to them, take feedback, and not be afraid after games, if you lose, to go up and clap and applaud the fans that came to watch you play and lose. So I think engaging more supporters that way is super important. And it just builds, I don't want to say trust, but like, you just get a sense of what that person's about. And there is maybe grace that you give them and a little more leeway, because you know that they want this just as much as you do.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I never actually met Lattanzio, ever. I know it sounds weird, but I met Miguel once or twice. I think at the announcement at Camp North End,
Yeah.
had a conversation with him there a little bit. Zoran's been very open with the fans and supporters and meeting with them before. And Latanzio, I never met one time.
You know, Joe's been going on shows. Latanzio came on our show. You know, so that means a lot to folks. You know, we need to hear from these people and not just in a press conference. So I encourage everybody in the front office to come on these shows and let people hear you. And it doesn't have to be this show. We hope you come on the show, but like, it's just, you get to know people more. And then I get so tired of seeing comments like the front office doesn't care. The front office doesn't give a damn about this and that. I'm like, have you ever had a conversation with them? Because if you did, you would know that that's not right. Now, they may make mistakes. They may still do stuff you don't like, but saying things like that just really, really irks me.
So, you ready for some fun questions here, Swift? You ready to do this?
What are you drinking, by the way?
Well, I've switched it up halfway through the show, so don't kill me for this. So I stock up on fall Oktoberfest, fall beers, pumpkin beers, etc. for months in like August and September. And then I start drinking it through essentially to me what is fall and winter. So first I was drinking Dogfish Head pumpkin ale. Well, it's really called pumpkin ale, which is a brown ale served with pumpkin and spices. But now I am drinking my Sam Adams Oktoberfest because when we went camping 2 weeks ago and you didn't join us because you're lame and didn't want to come hang out with the cool kids, I drank all of my Sierra Nevada Oktoberfest, which was delicious. So, but yeah, what are you drinking, by the way?
I've got the Cold Mountain from Highland. It's in Asheville.
Cold Mountain's good. Okay.
Yeah,
Cold Mountain's really good.
Yeah, they put it out, you know, during the fall and everything like that. It's delicious.
It is. So,
faves.
Corey, I know you're behind the scenes right now. If you want to put in the chat what you're drinking, even if it's water, I'll read it for the group here in a little bit. But I'm going to share this question or this comment before we get into the silly ones. I wonder if we will have to sign Dean's son to Crown or the first team now. So his son plays for Greenville. So what do you think there, Swift?
Well, we have to. That's like part of his.
He did put on Twitter that he demands to be paid for his agent fee because he helped pitch Charlotte to Dean, his dad. So what do you think?
I don't know. Can he play? I don't know his son well. I don't know his game. I'm not familiar with your game. So can he play? We'll see. I think he didn't he play NC State maybe? And like I said, I think he played in Asheville.
Oh yeah, he did. He did play NC State because it was really funny that his son his dad's named Dean Smith, which is for obviously so many puns about North Carolina. But his son then went and played for NC State. So it's like Dean Smith's son, NC State, whatever. But
what does he play? What I'll have to see what position he plays.
I don't know. I think midfield maybe. I have to look and see.
Ben's Bake Shop.
That's what it is. Hold on. What's it called again?
Ben's Bake Shop. That's not as cool as Ben Blender, but we'll take it. Oh, also, by the way, Kevin Hofer, we play each other in fantasy football this week. So if you could just let me win because it's playoffs, that'd be great. Maybe just don't start some of your players.
I just love that this podcast has gone into you just talking to your friends through a live stream and they have no ability to respond back except through text. So
exactly. Well, I'm not saying anything bad, but I'm just saying like, you should just let me win, Kevin. Let me have something. False.
Good. All right, we're gonna dive into some fun and silly questions here first. All right, so I'm gonna pull this from the pre-existing questions. This is a fun one here from Jose. So, will you watch the meteor shower on Wednesday night, Swift?
Yeah, I saw this question come in. I had no idea there was a meteor shower Wednesday, but
you don't follow Brad. You don't follow Brad, the weather guy from I think WCNC, whatever it is.
Try to say his last name.
I'm not gonna say his last name.
I saw you trying to dodge right past it.
Petrovic, I don't fucking know. P starts with a P. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I had no idea, but I'm definitely gonna watch it now. Thanks for the reminder, Jose. I appreciate that.
I hate that you called me out on that.
I love it. I can't even remember how you say his last name.
I know it's okay. I did try to play that off, by the way.
I love it.
So let me pull up
Panovich is what Corey.
So,
thanks, Corey.
Jesus.
So there was an L in there, but I guess not.
Yeah, maybe not.
I thought it was Panovich.
Donnie says, "Can Swift confirm that there was a Lazio scarf on the table during the last episode?" So I'm saying there's not because No, hold on. I'm going to say this. Donnie is a proud Lazio supporter
You
and
guys are
helped
so dumb.
helped recruit me into this very exclusive club of Charlotte Lazio supporters. And the thanks I get is them being bottom of the table right now. And then it's all Donnie's fault because he's wearing a Philadelphia Eagles hat at this podcast. Not a Lazio, but a Philadelphia Eagles. So was there a scarf, Swift?
Yeah, because I was like, why are you bringing
Eh.
a scarf from this horrible team? And then Donnie's got the Eagles hat on,
it's fine.
but he's been a he's been an Eagles fan. And then,
Just for the record, Koriensko is drinking Higher Ground from Birdsong. He's a big Birdsong guy. He even going back to the original episode with Johnny there. Him and Birdsong was always way back. So
you missed our Birdsong beer from last episode.
The sweet potato one, like, dude, I want some of that. If someone has some of that or can put it to the side or have a stash, I will gladly trade you Matt Swift's Blanton's for that. So.
I'm glad you brought that up because how many months have you had that and you've yet to give it to me?
Since July. So
people
who listen, I would have gave it to you.
Everybody on the show, let me tell you what my co-host does. I pay for a bottle of Blanton's that he did nicely get for me when he went to Buffalo Trace, but he's had it for months, and I've just paid for something and he's never given it to me.
For the record, I'm very consistent. I got a pocket knife from Jordan Parks at the Charleston Battery preseason game year one because he couldn't carry this knife into for security, so he gave it to me. You know when I just gave it back to him was last week or the week before for camping. Jesus. I had a pocket knife in my car.
and the thing is, like, I will remind David, I'm like, hey, David, at the tailgate, bring the bottle. And then halfway, oh, I forgot. And then, conveniently. Yeah.
Hey, aged bourbon is better. He's doing you a favor, apparently, is what Michael says.
Fun fact, bourbon does not age in bottles like wine does.
I did not know that. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Like, they put it in like aged casks though, or like barrels, right?
After it comes out of the barrel and it goes in the bottle, it does not age after that.
But it can go in aged casks or like barrels or no? Like aged wood?
What?
Never mind. It's fine.
Once it's
like a barrel aged, like a barrel aged.
Yes. Like, okay. And then once it comes out, but once it's in a bottle, it doesn't age after that.
Great. I'm so glad that this is live right now. We can't cut this.
How long have we been doing this episode?
I'm so glad that we can't cut this live.
It's been a while since you and I have done an episode, so we got a lot to chat about.
Oh man. All right. So this next question comes from Joe. So Joe says, what are y'all doing for the holidays and what are you looking forward to most?
Oh, thanks, Joe. I love Joe. David, what are you doing? What are you doing? So you go first.
So I know we're gonna go to my wife's uncle's house around New Year's and hang out with them. They live up in Greenville, so we're gonna go see them. My dad's here locally for Christmas, so we're gonna probably see him on Christmas Day, those kind of things. But my sister is pregnant and gets to have their first kid like the first week of January. So towards the end of January, I'll be up there flying up to Ohio, freezing to death and meeting my new nephew. So
that's exciting.
Yeah, it's gonna be a busy few weeks here. So how about you, buddy?
So we always do Christmas Eve at my mom's. And then we'll do Christmas Day here. And we get to stay put. And we'll have some friends over that, the relatives are like out of town and stuff like that, and they're not traveling. So have some folks over. You're not invited, David. So sorry.
Even if I bring the Blantons?
You won't bring it though. That's the thing. I'll invite you and I'll be like, hey, bring the bottle, and you won't bring it. And then I just got to hang out with you.
I know. Damn it. That's so bad.
Yeah.
Another question from Donnie says, hey Matt, how'd that fantasy game go last week?
So I knew that was gonna happen. Donnie beat me last week. So, and if Donnie wouldn't have beat me, I would have had a bye. So I'm in third place out of I don't even know how many teams we got. 12. Yeah, we have 12 teams. So I'm in third. And if I would have beat Donnie, I would have had a bye in the first round of the playoffs, but whatever. But let's see where Donnie. Well, I'll tell you where Donnie is. Donnie's in ninth. So there you go.
Probably because he drafted nothing but Eagles, but it's okay. But
probably.
So we got some really good fun questions here going live. So this one comes from I need to figure out who this Brown Shug name please or Shug game please is.
How can you not say it?
I don't know, dude. It's
Throw,
like
throw it up. Throw it up here. Throw
I know. I just don't
Brown
understand.
sugar me, please. Brown sugar me, please.
Oh, Brown sugar me, please. I'm like
sugar me, please.
I know, man.
Also, what's this photo with the troll thing?
Because they're a troll. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. So
it could be.
Or is that
is that a garden gnome? That's a garden gnome, right?
Yeah, it's a garden gnome. So do you think if I asked Dino for his shirt after the match, he'd pop that off? So I just want to say for the record, we've gone through, this is our third manager. The first manager would be very stylish and wear like cut off, like, you know, like hoodies and would have like glory days, make shirts for him, everything like that. The second manager wore like polos and skinny jeans and
like a general contractor. He looked like a general contractor.
The guy that would go play golf on the weekends with Donnie occasionally, that kind of thing. And now we've got a coach that it wears like suits and button ups now. So first of all, I just want to see like Dean Smith rip this button up shirt like Hulk or Superman and give it to a fan. But like, how excited are you to have like a well-dressed manager on the sideline?
I hope he embraces that. I want to see some like, I want to see a suit. I want to see a suit, and I want to see some like Charlotte FC type ties. I want to see that.
I think he'll wear the suit until he gets closer to like May, June, and July and realizes how
it's
hot
not England. It is.
So I hope he gets like a custom made suit where it's like a suit short and then like short sleeve like suit. It'd be great if he could wear that. It'd be fantastic. So.
Yeah, that's a good call out. I'm like, yeah, you should wear a suit, and then like no, like June, July, August. No, I don't think that's gonna fly, man.
So I've got two questions here from Westwood T Gang, and then we'll get into the main reason why everyone tuned into the show is the corn dog talk. But so Westwood T Gang says first, just on the whiskey conversation, does whiskey age by watching the last 10 minutes of a Charlotte FC match?
That's the only way it ages.
That's if you haven't finished it by that point.
Yeah, I'm starting to get some gray hairs, and like I'm pretty sure it's from watching the last few minutes of Charlotte FC.
And then he finally says, "What will you be calling Dean Smith, and why is it Dino?"
What you guys love coming up with nicknames for literally everybody. Just I'll let you guys do the nicknames. I'm just gonna call him his name.
Dino. No, we're gonna be. If we ever have him on the show, I'm gonna call him Dino Smith. So that's what's gonna happen.
That's fun.
Then I'll just be laughed out of the show. So all right. So now we're here for the the main course of the show. And Gabe, I'm so glad you asked this question literally an hour ago. We started here and we're having it saved.
Who did you say? Gabe?
Gabe. Yeah.
Oh, is this my buddy Gabe?
Maybe. But Gabe says, can we talk about the impact of air fryers on normalizing corn dogs? So I'm going to go through the corn dog history in a little bit. But Swift, do you air fry your corn dogs now, or do you just be a Neanderthal and just
I want to say this is I'm hoping this is my buddy Gabe that I went to high school with, and I told him I was like, oh, you should tune into the show. So I think this might be the first time he's tuned in. And can we talk about the impact? Yeah. I don't know much about air frying.
You've never air fried a corn dog?
No. Maybe I'm gonna have to.
So okay.
Is it good?
So air fryers have changed the game on like frozen food because you used to put like chicken. So I'll use the chicken nugget as an example, right? Or even tater tots or French fries. You would either have two options 20 years ago. You would stick in the microwave and it would just get soggy. And I'm so glad you just put this up as a solo for me. You would put it in the microwave and it would get soggy, or it would be just molten lava in the center. Think of a Hot Pocket, right? It would be like cold on the outside, but then it would be just molten lava on the center. The invention of the air fryer has now changed the game, where you are now able to just basically nuke something so quickly and make it nice and crispy as if it's fried, and it makes it that much better. So it has revolutionized. I don't think I'm being over dramatic when I say that. It has revolutionized mankind on the way that we cook our frozen
You
meals.
remind me of someone that's going into like a board meeting and you're having to like pitch air fryers to some guys. It is revolutionized. Oh my god. Okay. All right. I will. By God,
You'll have to do it.
I will do it.
So I know it's been a while since we've had the show, and we're still trying to get Cookout to sponsor the show.
Yeah. What the
So
hell?
if you guys know Cookout, if you like the
know,
show,
if you know Cookout, if you know Mr. Cookout, can you please put him in touch with us?
Can you please tag at Cookout for us and make sure they've realized that we're about to give a whole segment about corn dogs. But be sure you check out us on Twitter or Instagram, because I might have a special corn dog segment lined up for us for the holidays, and break down the different ways to eat a corn dog. But for those who are aware or not aware, did you know that the corn dog was invented in Texas, Matt? It came from German immigrants that came from Germany, and they went to Texas and they invented the corn dog there in Texas. And there's an article from 1927 that says, I have discovered the articles of food, such for instance as wieners, boiled ham, hard-boiled eggs, cheese, sliced peaches, pineapples, bananas, and like fruit, and cherries, dates, figs, strawberries, but they impale them on a stick and dip them in a batter, which includes in its ingredients a self-rising flour, and then they're deep fried in vegetable oil at 390 degrees. And the result is a food product on a stick for handle that is clean, wholesome, and it is a tasty refreshment. So that is the first instance of a corn dog being described and having a patent filed for it. Isn't that like super intriguing?
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's amazing, man.
Between that and your air fryer, I'm at a loss for words.
I'm just really glad that our viewership on the live stream has increased while I'm talking about corn dogs. Not about soccer, not about Dean Smith, but about air fryers and corn dogs.
I mean, keep the questions coming. Let's see what all we got. But
Oh
before we go too much further, I do want to talk about our sponsor real quick.
Please.
And it's not Cookout. But if you could get us in touch with Mr. Cookout, that'd be great. But as you probably know, if you follow the show, Renegade Goalkeeping, right? Check out these bad boys.
Oh shit, those are nice, man.
That I just got. So Ryan, who's the owner of Renegade Goalkeeping, he's a member of Mint City Collective, and you've probably seen the Charlotte FC. Am I getting played off the?
No. You're actually being you're being embraced. You're not being played off as if you're.
I remember that time I got played off my own show by Corey. Corey's like, I've had enough. We're out here. But no, so Renegade Goalkeeping. They just made these Mint City Collective gloves. These are not for sale. We're not sure if they're gonna sell these or not, but I will be doing some giveaways with these. I love these things. They turned out really, really well. But Ryan's a great guy. Renegade Goalkeeping is a really cool company. It's local. Like I said, he's a Mint City Collective member. So might have some of these for giveaways. So
nice.
Stay tuned, David. I guess I'll give you a pair. Corey, you'll get a pair.
I'll give you a pair when I give you the Blantons. How about that? We'll call it even there.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's keep rubbing salt in the wound.
And no. Sorry, Corey, I literally thought you were playing me off the show, like the Oscars.
So I've got a few comments here since we started talking about corn dogs and goalkeeping gloves. So first of all, Kevin wants to know, Swift, have you been wearing those the entire show? Ready just to talk about them, or did you just pull them out right away?
No, I just put them on. But
nice.
I should have had them on the whole time. Yeah, I really like them. Yeah.
It's nice, man. I like the color. They got the mint right. It's really hard to get that mint right sometimes. So.
That is exactly correct, and it's really, really cool. It's got some cool details. It's got the It's got the Believe thing on the thumb.
Look at that. Yeah.
And it's also got the Anton Walks 5 thing on the. So it's got some cool little
nice details.
Yeah, and they're
There's
really
no corn dog on there.
No corn dog, but you could hold a corn dog with these gloves and not get messy. So there you go.
That's awesome. So we got a few more comments here, and I'm going to put Corey on the hot spot here just to make sure he pulls these up fast enough. So Michael first says, "Is this the same Gabe that you tried to fist fight back in high school, or So is that the same Gabe?"
No. So Travis Agler is the guy from. There we go. Donnie knows. Donnie is a steel trap. Yeah, Travis Agler is the guy from Charlotte Catholic. Now Gabe knows all about Charlotte Catholic and probably this incident. But yeah, I played soccer with Gabe too, and all of his brothers. So I don't know if Gabe's still listening, but
the guy you tried to fight is listening. Okay, yeah, that's
no.
Oh yeah,
Gabe is still listening. I would
Travis
laugh
Agler
like hell if Travis Agler was listening.
I'm gonna find him as well. So Westwood
We tried to look for him and just could not find him anywhere. So
so this next one is from Elliot Fox again, Mr.
Let's see that photo. Let's see that photo.
Blue Steel himself.
Yeah.
Need to reheat anything? Air fryer, 350 degrees, 3 minutes. Thank me later. I will say reheating pizza, reheating chicken. It is mwah. You'll thank me later. Do you have an air fryer, Swift?
Yeah.
And you don't use it?
I mean, we cook a lot. We don't get pizza rolls and throw them in the air fryer. I don't know.
Are you saying I'm still 15 years old and just come home from work every day and throw some?
You were very adamant about corn dogs and air fryers. To each their own. But so let me get this straight though. It could be anything, and it's just 3 minutes, no matter what it is. No matter what.
No, not everything, but majority of things. Yeah. Yeah, okay. It's pretty good. Yeah. So the next one, Greg Franco says, point of clarification, it is Dr. Cookout, not Mr. Cookout. So
well, yeah, he'd probably get really mad if we didn't call him Doctor. But yeah, so if anybody can put us in touch with Dr. Cookout.
I'm so glad the show ended this way. So the last question I'll put up here before we finish the end of the show here on this monstrosity of an ending.
Now we have other topics. We have other topics now. It's just
so Joe
saying. And Corey, don't be trying to play me off the show this time.
So Joe says, does Gusher, so Gusler, have stock in air fryers? So I do not. I have no stock in Ninja or air fryers or anything of that sort, unfortunately.
I just want to hear that pitch again. I want to go back. I want to grab that clip, and that's going to be like a social media post.
I mean, dude, Corey already sent me the screenshot. That's going to be my new Twitter and Instagram profile picture, is that it's going to be me zoomed in, and it's going to have the question from Gabe around the impact of corn dogs. So
what a good question.
Man. Yeah, it was, man.
You never know where this show's going to take you.
No, we do not. So Swift, what other topics do you wish to dig into tonight?
Well, I want to bring up something that happened during the
I'm glad you actually. Yeah, I'm glad you are going to bring this up. Actually, that's good.
Yeah, I figured because I thought you had some comments around it. I thought it was very funny with LAFC in the playoffs. They had this huge thing where they had all these flares. They won their division and all that stuff, and there are all these flares and it looked really, really cool. And I put out a tweet. I was like, "Man, this is awesome. Too bad no one else gets to do this crap, because we certainly don't, and other teams certainly don't seem to be able to pull this off." But again, it's LA. They get to do whatever they want. Miami, they get to do whatever they want. Now, after the fact, they got fined, right? I think it was $100,000, and I heard that they limited some seats in the finals and whatever.
It's such a very vague, and it's we're limiting supporters benefits, which what?
So the ironic and just the epitome of MLS is you have Don Garber, who's the commissioner, has this tweet of the supporters with all their flares that is not allowed. And he's pushing that out, and he's saying how great the fans are and all this horse shit. And you'll see on MLS comms, they'll post this stuff because it looks awesome, right? It does, and it looks great. And it'd be cool if all the teams could do it. But then they're like, oh, actually, that's bad, and now you're fine. It's just garbage. It's just absolute garbage. But David, I'd
It's
love to know your kind of thought on.
Yeah, so I was very vocal and adamant last year when LAFC hosted the MLS Cup final last season against Philadelphia, and they had this amazing. Again, this is going to be the nerd in me, like Goku, like from Dragon Ball Z, Tifo, and they had like black smoke coming up, and it was awesome, right? And it was amazing. And then the MLS Twitter account then reshared that same image and was like 3252 showed up, blah 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 blah. Just amazing. Like, oh, we're promoting it, blah blah blah. And so I was president of Charlotte or Mint City Collective at the time, and I was kind of pissed off because I was like, man, we've been asking for smoke in the stands, being able to do things like this. Like, I'm like, hey, how does California, one of the most like red tape sticker process states, county, LA County that there is, we even got told that we're going to be as strict as LA County and the state of California does here in Charlotte, because it's that if they do it there, like we're going to do the same thing. And so we're like, okay, so how do they get away with it? And we can't even bring smoke in 100 yards of the stadium, right? And
yeah, there's, for people that don't know, there's a lot of like rules for us, like, and we can't pop smoke here, we can't do that, we can't have certain type of flares. There's a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
So we got pushback. We got told like, oh, the league's upset about it. It was an intern for social that posted they don't know the rules, blah 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 blah. Yeah. And then what comes out this past season during the off season is MLS is going to get stricter with their smoke rules and regulations in response to that. So no more supporters on capo stands holding smoke. It's now going to be a controlled thing by stadium operations, all this craziness, right? And then what happens again is 3252 and LA does something even bigger where they have flares, which is literally pyro in the stadium next to flammable things. And it just gets promoted again. And for me,
and nothing burnt down, by the way.
Oh yeah. Well, what happens is there's one instance against, ironically, Ajax, not Ajax, but Ajax. There was a video that went viral like a year or two ago where they had a tifo or some kind of banner and some dumbass put a lighter underneath it and caught it on fire. But like that they always use that against us, right? But for me, I have no problem with having smoke and flares and whatever. Like that's what supporters want. That they do it across the world. They do it in South America. They do it in Germany. They do it, across Europe. They do it for Greek basketball games. Like it's crazy. Like it's like insane where they do this stuff. And again, I have no problem with it. What I just want is consistency from it, from a supporter and a fan perspective. But it also pissed me off because 3252 LAFC fans were on the internet and posting like, oh, well, woe is us. We're getting held accountable for this and blah, blah, blah. We're just real supporters and we push the envelope and stuff. And what they don't realize is when they do things like that, other stadium operations and other teams are going to be punished, not by the league, but by people who are running these organizations. They're going to be like, look, see, we give you an inch and people take a mile. And we're going to, that's what's going to happen if we ever let this happen. And it's going to hurt us more long-term from doing that. And that's the thing that pisses me off about it. And I mean, I'm glad that 3252 got held accountable because it's going to make it that much harder for Charlotte FC fans to ever get like smoke or flares or anything like that within the stadium.
Yeah, and I think they were like, bitching, complaining, like, oh, everybody else complained. And so I'm like, yeah, everybody else complained and won because we want to do that too. Like other teams want to do that, but we're told that we can't, and it's enforced. But again, because it's you guys, does anybody enforce anything out there? No. Does anybody enforce the Ross rules? And again, you have the commissioner tweeting about it. So you can't blame the social media intern on this one. Like you have the commissioner promoting this stuff. And it's silly.
Ridiculous.
So I wanted to bring that up. I saw that and I know you had some opinions on that, but
I just wish that we could do something. And again, I get it's the United States. People are sue happy and lawsuit happy, etc. I just wish that we could do something, and even if it's a controlled environment where we have fire marshal right next to us while we do it, or if it's something that we can work with to have smoke in the stands or smoke on Mint Street or whatever it is, to be able to show that we can do this properly and not be idiots about it. But when things like this happen, it really pushes these conversations for folks like you and Becca and other leaders and supporter groups. Makes it that much harder for you to be able to build trust within those organizations.
Yeah, and I guess for people that don't know, so I'm the vice president for Mint City
Oh, I
Collective.
forgot about that, man. Yeah,
and and then Becca is the president. So part of our responsibilities is we have a group with the other supporter groups that have their vice president and presidents, and we all get together and we kind of talk through and vote on game day activities, TIFOs, smoke, and stuff like that. So we have those conversations with Sean McIntosh, who's the chief fan officer, and we get we get pushback from stadium ops on things that we want to do, and we're told we can't do certain things, which is super frustrating. And then you have instances like this that will then get thrown in your face, but like, well, it just kind of sucks. But anyway,
do you ever see? I mean, and just on like,
so yeah, the other thing, and I know we're trying to wrap up the show. Oh, go ahead, David.
No, I was just gonna say. So, do you ever foresee a day where we can have smoke or flares or things like that in Bank of America Stadium? Just point blank. Do you ever foresee that or no?
I don't know.
That's a very loaded question. Let me to put you on the spot. And congratulations, by the way, for being vice president again. So.
Oh yeah. We and by the way, if you are a Mint City Collective member, we are having an officer vote. There's some positions that have multiple people that are running. So if you haven't voted yet, check your email. You should have an email from us. But yeah, Beck and I are president and vice president again. This will probably be my last year, although I said that last year. So
you did. Did you see my message to you, by the way? I screenshot that from 2022, and you were like, I cannot wait for this to end or something like that. And then what do? You run again. And I was like, oh,
it's a lot of work, but just
it's very fulfilling.
I care about the group and I want to leave it in good hands. And I feel like there's some things that we need to get done this season. So I want to stay on and try to get those things done. So
awesome, man. Well, we appreciate you doing that because I know the work behind the scenes and the amount of work and BS you guys have to deal with. So thanks for doing it for a second year because I know that's not. I was done after a year, so.
Yeah, this will be my last year. But some of the other things that I want to bring up real quick because I had a couple folks ask this kind of question. So everybody's asking about the schedule and when it's going to come out. So I don't have a definitive date, but if you look at last year, it came out on December 20th, I believe. So I'm thinking that's probably going to be around the same time. So it's almost time. So I'm looking forward to seeing where we're going to play. Maybe start planning some away day trips. So that's going to be interesting and a kind of a fun fact. For the first time since 2016, there's no expansion teams joining MLS. Isn't that crazy? First time since 2016.
2016? That seems that's pretty crazy to think about. But
no
then
expansion team.
Next year is when San Diego joins, right? Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Which talk about away day. I'll be all about some San Diego.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. And honestly, I think this league really needs to think about stopping and putting a cap on it and like, okay, because if we ever want to talk about promotion relegation, like MLS has to stop at some point and like got to work on lower levels and things like that. But I think it's time for MLS to maybe pause.
You just saying promotion relegation just fired up Twitter like 50 accounts about ProRel, and they're just all like they're about to spam us here, just so you know.
I think we did promise that we were going to have a episode dedicated to just that. So we need to, now it's the off season, maybe that's a good time to do that. So
it's good. I really want to know Corey's experiences. I know he followed a lot of the lower league soccer scene for a while, so I want to make sure he gets his 2 cents on the ProRel conversation.
Yeah, but that's all that I've got. Unless we have any more corn dog questions or air fryer
Um,
commentary?
just out of curiosity, and this be the last question from me there, Swift. But any news or any leaks or anything that you can tease fans about for the new membership for Mint City Collective this coming up year? So when should fans expect to see what that looks like, or anything that you can share?
Yeah. We're finalizing all that now. I will say, and just so people are not angry, for the tailgate, we're thinking about, changing some of our prices for beer, because like the past 2 years and until this year really, and at the tail end, like we never charged for beer or for wristbands or anything like that. So just to recoup some expenses. And again, we're a nonprofit. We don't pocket any money. Nobody gets paid. Everything goes back into what we're trying to do. So to help with fun away day trips and some fun events and everything like that, you might see us charge a little bit for wristbands to get beers and stuff. But I promise, like, it's going to be like $10, something like that. So if you want to go, if that makes you mad, you can go to a bar and buy one beer for $10. So there you go.
Man, I just want to go back to who was the first president that used to give out like free beer, man? Like I wonder who made that decision and financially.
I don't know that you made that decision,
I did not make that decision. Just
no, it's we've been very fortunate to be able to do that, and honestly, we've been able to do a lot of things and not charge our members at all. And I think our membership has been pretty reasonable, $30-$35 to be a member, and you get gear with that. But we're trying to think of more ways this year to give something special to our members, more events, things like that. And I think this year too, you're going to see less like chapter events where we have all these different chapters where you got 10 people over here, 5 people over here, and we're going to do larger events where we're all together, and it's going to be planned out way ahead of time. But we want to get more people together instead of being so spread out. Now, of course, chapters that are outside of the city, yes, that's going to remain the same, but like we want to try to get more people together, and I think we're going to focus on that. Some more family events and things, and try to like refocus our mission. Do more community service. We just did something last weekend with Hope Match. Elizabeth, one of our members, and who's kind of in charge of like our community outreach and stuff like that, got us involved in that, and we wrapped gifts for families that were put on a list that maybe is less fortunate and couldn't really afford gifts. And there were people that were nice enough to go out and buy these families all types of fun and amazing things, and we were able to go and wrap these up for them, and so that was really, really cool. So we want to do more stuff like that.
It's awesome, man. And so I think I have a solution to you, and I think they solved it here. Complimentary corn dogs. I think that's how we need to end the show right there.
I think we're going to have to figure out something to have corn dogs at a tailgate for sure.
Bring an air fryer. Dude, you can just pop those bad boys in there, have an electrical outlet, and you'll have the best corn dogs.
So how many corn dogs can you do at one time in an air fryer?
I have no idea. I don't know. I mean, I don't.
What do you mean you have no idea?
It depends on how big your air fryer is. So,
well, how big? Like
I would say with mine, I have one. So like, I would probably say you could probably fit like 8 or 10 corn dogs in there, maybe.
Okay.
I mean, maybe.
I feel like you'd have to have like multiple air fryers going to like really do a tailgate though.
You keep up with
8 at a time.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Yeah, so it's been fun, man, coming back on the show. It's been a while since we've done this, and it's glad we let some of the silliness come out. It's been fun.
Yeah, hopefully I like talking about. Well, we'll see. Our viewership just plummets.
David's back, where he's talking about corn dogs. That's the end of an era there. So
we're out of here. Right.
Well, that's awesome, all I got, man. Well, that's all I got. I mean, it's been fun, and I'm glad that we have a new manager finally that we can have optimism for, and hopefully we can not complain about him at all for the next 90 days. So it'll be fun.
Big kudos to, and I said this on Twitter, big kudos to Joe, Bobby, Thomas, and David Tepper for getting this coach in and making this decision. I know David Tepper is not a popular person in Charlotte right now. My thing is, if you're going to be critical, you also have to be complimentary when they do things that are good, and vice versa. You can't always be complimentary, and you need to be critical, but you need to be fair. I know a lot of people have been taking shots at David Tepper specifically. Totally understandable, but I think for this, he's allowed the front office to kind of run with things. But I again, kudos to Zoran, Bobby, Thomas, Joe. Like, this is good stuff. So I'm excited for 2024, and I think we're going to do well.
Agreed.
Okay, Corey, you can play us off the show now.
Just hard end. Just end it right now. We love you, Corey. Thank you.
Put my gloves back on. See you guys. Get me in touch with Dr. Cookout. And I'm going to talk through this thing to get me in touch with Dr. Cookout. You can turn up the volume, but I'm still going to keep singing. Get me in touch with Dr. Cookout.